Zombie Apocalypse.
What is up, guys? It is Kenniron here, and you may notice that I'm missing most of my hair, but that's okay, I'll let it grow back out. You may notice that I'm also missing my headset once again, but it'll be back in action as soon as I remember to grab it. But today, I'm going into what makes me love video games, the different genres. Different genres, they provide different gameplay, so you're not stuck feeling bored repeatedly playing the same type of game over and over again. Genres are what make the video game industry extremely interesting, with wide demographics of people who can enjoy them. So, with an intro that's short, sweet, and to the point, kind of like never mind, let's get into my personally beloved top 5 favorite genres in the video game industry. I'll also throw in my favorite games from each genre to give you an idea what you should check out if you're interested. Starting off this list at number 5, we have the horror genre. Horror franchises suffer from what I like to call jump scare syndrome. They rely on absolutely no atmosphere, no timing, and no story within the game. The only thing they rely on is predictable jump scares. And this doesn't just go for games, as movies tend to suffer the same fate. That's why horror is at the number 5 spot on this list, and not 4, 3, or even 2. Still, when you find a good horror game, it usually leaves a bigger impact on you that a regular game just can't quite deliver in most cases. But it's very tricky to pull off a horror game well, as you have to set up the atmosphere of the game nearly perfectly, along with making sure that there's plenty of stuff for the player to do and focus on in between scares. Most games do better if they have a heavy lore aspect and tend to have a lot of mystery to them as well, which is why players typically have to look for documents or logs or newspaper clippings to help further explain some sort of story. There's nothing that compares to the adrenaline rush you get when something really freaks you out and sends chills down your spine. So some of my favorite horror games would have to be the original Five Nights at Freddy's and Alien Isolation. Five Nights has a tremendous amount of lore and complicated story that no one can really quite grasp, and that makes it extremely interesting to me. An Alien Isolation is a straightforward space survival story against extremely smart aliens, robots, and people, while also being appealing to any longtime Alien fans with nice nods to the original movies. Blasting its way into the number 4 spot is the shooting genre. Or should I say genre? Huh? Get it? Dominating a firefight, surviving a war zone, and getting a massive kill streak have always been intriguing to millions of players worldwide. The shooting genre is, for good reason, the most popular field of games on the market, with every company from EA to Naughty Dog to even Bethesda trying their shot at it. Yes, that was a Fallout 4 diss, and yes, that was a shooting pun. Jokes for days. The multiplayer aspect is probably one of the biggest reasons people keep coming back to mainstream titles. Playing countless matches against online players or testing your skills against your friends is such a great pastime. But I personally prefer to be a little different than the mainstream, mostly getting into shooters for their story and single-player replayability factors. I've never owned a Call of Duty or Battlefield game, and I don't really intend to. Instead, I find the most enjoyment out of Halo Reach and Army of Two. While admittedly Army of Two is a bit of a dead franchise, the first game had such an amazing and diverse story. Halo Reach is Halo Reach, it's all around good. You can firefight in the best firefight map ever, Courtyard. You can effectively create your own maps, and you can even have your own personal character in the story. If you haven't already played this game, you should definitely check it out. Finishing in third, we have the racing genre. The racing genre holds some of my first memories of gaming, and honestly some of my first memories in general. It's fascinating to see how many different games can have so many different mechanics shoved in between the time you start a race and the time you cross the finish line. Whether it be drifting, boosting, or ruining someone's day with an unfair power-up, just about anyone can find enjoyment out of the sheer competition that is racing. Even if you're not playing against other humans, the AI racers can be challenging enough to be just as fun. The problem with racing games, though, is they're almost never story-driven. Yes, that was another lame pun, just get over it, that's what my channel has succumbed to nowadays. At the same time, though, I feel like the lack of story helps make these games what they are. You're only going to pick up the game for some fun races, and you can be just as invested in the game as you want to be. If you only want to spend an hour or so every so often playing it, then do that. If you want to dump all of your time into playing it, then you can do that all the same. I've probably dumped the most time into Crash Team Racing than any other game. It's so much more than a Mario Kart clone, and I feel like people don't give it the serious thought that it deserves. Also, if you're more into street racing rather than kart racing, I'd definitely recommend Midnight Club LA. You can customize your cars however you want, there's a diverse range of free roam environment, and there's a little story if you're into that sort of thing. Moving on, the number 2 spot goes to the fighting genre. While racing may be a very head-to-head competitive genre, fighting takes the competition to a whole new level as it's one player bashing the other's face in. Games can become so close that whoever hits a button a split second faster may end up winning the match because of it. And that's part of the thrill of fighting. Learning how to play as certain characters, dominating leaderboards, or just pulling off some beast combos in front of your friends help contribute to the enjoyment. And there are so many different types of fighting games out there. You have sports games like UFC and WWE, character battle royales like Smash Bros. And PlayStation All-Stars, and your classic arcade-style brutal games like Mortal Kombat and Tekken. Pretty much anyone who's ever even played a game has played some kind of fighting game. There's a reason why Smash Bros. Has one of, if not the biggest, worldwide competitive tournaments in all of gaming history. But, if you're just looking to get into a franchise, I would start with Mortal Kombat 9 or X, as they're probably the easiest to pick up and play. When you get a little more experienced, you can try out Tekken 7 or Tag Tournament 2, which arguably have some of the most dynamic fighting systems the genre has to offer. So you may be wondering, what genre could possibly be better than all the other ones I've mentioned? Well, it's actually quite simple. In at number 1 is the platforming genre. And I'm covering up Crash's face. The platforming genre. Everybody at some point in their life has heard of Mario, Sonic, Crash Bandicoot, or some kind of platformer. Mario single-handedly stabilized video games as a serious industry and made it clear to everyone that they were here to stay. Crash Bandicoot turned an unheard-of console into a competitor with Nintendo. Not only that, but platformers hold some of the most dear memories of many people's childhoods, including my own. With their kid-friendly surface and easy-to-play controls, running, jumping, avoiding obstacles, and fighting off bad guys is just simply fun. You don't have to go all MLG on it, as most platformers are just a good source of relaxation. Also, one of my favorite aspects of platformers is their tendency to include collectibles. I freaking love collectibles! Chase! But if you've seriously never given platformers much of a shot, you should definitely go for Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, Sly 2 Band of Thieves, and Spyro the Dragon. Although, those are all PlayStation titles. I gotta appeal to the general audience, don't I? Okay. So, Super Mario Wii was pretty fun. Something besides Mario. I hear Banjo-Kazooie, I should say. There's no and in there. It's pretty fun. What about Xbox? Gosh. Xbox does not have many platformers, does it? I guess it's mostly for PlayStation and Nintendo people. which makes sense considering the only franchises I got into were Crash, Spyro, Sly, a little Jak and Daxter, a little Ratchet and Clank, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, and a little Mario. Well, that about sums up my points. Let me know your top 5 favorite video game franchises in the comments, and show some support by leaving a like. Subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I hope you enjoyed, and Kenniron, out.